I think it's time to brew a dark beer. G'day guys, Beer Healer here and welcome to the Beer Healer shed on what is a very crisp autumn morning down here in Hobart. Now look, I've got up early, I've chucked on the hoodie and the trackie decks to get out to the shed while the family's still in bed before work so that I can get a brew off today. So one of the things I love about Brewie is the fact that I can set a brew going and it can go away and brew, and sort of by the time lunchtime comes around I can quickly duck home and make sure everything's all cool and the brew's all done. So this morning I'm brewing something called a Dark Night Porter. Now this beer is something I've converted from my Beer Smith recipe that I used to brew in my old homebrew setup because I loved making it with my old man. So we're going to try that today on the Brewie in a 10 litre batch size. So part of the things I want to do with Brewie is do lots of little batches along the way so I can not only test out what the Brewie can do for me, but also test out my new mini kegging setup that you might have seen a video of in the last few days. So what I'm going to do is do a 10 litre batch. I'll put half into a keg and I'll put the rest into bottles and just sort of see how the two sort of beers go as they mature and for when I drink them. So anyway, let's get underway with the brew day and we'll get cracking. Alrighty, so one of the features of Brewie is the fact that you can either choose to use the hose with the cold water coming in, which comes in at about 10 degrees into the system to then heat up and start the process, or you can go and get your own hot water out of the tap or whatever and pour it into the Brewie to move things along a little bit quicker. Today, because I've got to get back after taking the kids to school and that sort of thing, and want things to happen a little bit more quickly, and also probably to save some energy costs, I'm going to choose to do the option of pouring in some warm water. So basically, I've saved time today. I'm not going to show you all the different setups and all that sort of thing. I've got my hop cages in, I've got my bag full of crushed up grains in, and now it's asking me to pour in 7.8 litres of hot water. So in that goes, and then basically we're ready to get the brew underway. So I'll hit start and then I'll go off, I'll get myself into the shower, get ready to head off and take the kids to school and go to my meeting, and I'll be back and ready to put the brew into the fermenter. So let's kick it off. So I've spruced myself up, looking pretty sharp, had a shower, got dressed, grabbed myself a coffee, given the kids breakfast. I thought, well, I've got a second, I'll come out and check on Brewie and see how it's going. So you can see here on the right hand side we've got the mash going on right now, working beautifully. On the left we've got the water being heated up on the left hand side here. You can see the steam coming out, ready to do the sparge. So while that's doing its thing, I thought I'd just take a few seconds just to have a quick chat about the style of beer that I'm producing here, the porter. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I think porters get an absolute bad rap. I don't know what it is, but I think some people get a bit confused with them because they're sort of halfway between maybe a brown and a stout, but I don't care, I love them. I especially love this one because this recipe is the one that Dad and I produced in the past. Porters were developed in the 18th century in London, and I think people then eventually got them confused with stouts because pretty much a porter was made, and then the people made extra porters, double porters, and then eventually they made stout porters. They dropped the word porter and those became stouts, and sort of porters went off into the distance a bit. Stouts, you know, increased in prominence. You had stouts, double stouts, extra stouts, imperial stouts, and poor old porters just sitting out there on the sidelines just waiting for someone to show them some love. Well, I love you, porter. I think they are a great beer. Now, my love of porter was sparked by a bloke that I work with in the beer industry at Lion. His name is Chuck Hahn. You may have heard of him. He is an absolute legend of the brewing industry. And when I first started working on the James Squire brand with him, he took me through some lessons on beer and food matching. And when we got to the porter, he said, I've got something special for you here, Chris. And he showed me how porter would not only match with, you know, like goulashes and rich sort of lamb dishes, but then we moved on to doing it with chocolate. Chocolate mousse, double chocolate cream, and chocolate itself. So he had me hooked as soon as he said beer and chocolate, because they are two of my favourite things. You know, it's an interesting thing. All of the guys that worked in the craft beer division could always imitate Chuck's accent, because whenever he went to a beer dinner and he talked about his porter, which is one of his favourite beers, he'd hold up into the light and say, now look at this beer. It's not black, it's not deep, it's not dark. It's actually red in colour. Hold it up to the light and you can see the window panes of ruby mahogany shining on through it. And I guarantee you that everybody that worked with Chuck could imitate that accent and would know that saying off by heart, because he used it all the time. Absolute cracker. Cheers to you, Chuck, for introducing me to porters, because I absolutely love them. So thanks very much to that, mate. Now, look, I better leave Brewie to its thing because I've got to go and get the kids off to school. So we'll come back and check on it again soon. Alrighty, so fresh from nailing business deals at the top end of town in Hobart, I've come home and Brewie is finished. Who am I kidding? There is no top end of town in Hobart, but anyway, I had a great business meeting and now I've come back to find this wort has fully cooled. So all I've got to do now is drain the tank, pitch the yeast. Alrighty, so you can see the liquid's now flowing through from Brewie into the fermenter, looking quite nice there. Now at this time we also need to just make sure we take a bit of a reading with our hydrometer, so we'll just fill the test tube up there and put the hose back in, and we'll check the hydrometer reading and then pretty much get ready to pitch the yeast. Oh, there you go, guys. While that wort is draining off into that fermenter and waiting for me to pitch the yeast, I thought I'd take a few seconds just to say thanks for watching my video today. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you do like what I'm doing here, please like and subscribe to my videos or share them with friends. That would be great. If you've got a question, leave a comment, or you can email me over at beerhealer.com. But until we talk again in the Beer Healer shed, whether we're brewing or tasting a beer, cheers to great beers.